Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, I want to start by asking you to do a little mental audit.
Okay, I'm ready.
Think back to the last week. Maybe you went out to dinner, maybe you binge-watched a new show, or maybe you finally read that book everyone is talking about.
Right.
At some point, you ran into a friend or a coworker, and they asked you the inevitable question, "Hey, how was it?"
I know exactly where this is going. It's probably the most common social interaction in the world.
It is. What did you say? I am willing to bet money that you said, "It was good."
Yeah.
Or, if you were feeling really spicy, maybe you said, "It was pretty good."
Or the flip side, it was bad. Or maybe it sucked.
Right.
Yeah.
Good and bad. These two words are like the duct tape of our vocabulary. We use them for everything.
A slice of pizza, good. The Godfather.
Your cousin's wedding.
Yeah.
Good. But today, we are doing something a little different. We're digging into a fascinating piece of source material titled Beyond the Binary, describing cinema with precision. And this source makes a pretty aggressive argument. It says that these words, good and bad, are not just boring. They're actually traps.
Traps is a strong word, but I think the source is right. It calls them lazy language. And when you really stop and think about it, it is lazy. It's a shortcut.
But is it lazy or is it just efficient? I mean, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
You're for it.
If I tell you the burger was good, you know I liked it. You know I didn't get food poisoning. Isn't that enough? Why do we need to make everything so complicated?
That is a fair question. And, efficiency has its place. If you're texting someone to say you arrived safely, I'm good, works perfectly.
Okay.
But when we are talking about art or experiences or, frankly, human connection, efficiency is actually the enemy.
The enemy.
I think so.
Yeah.
If you tell me the burger was good, I have zero information about the actual experience. Was it juicy? Was it charred? Was it spicy? You've given me a rating, like a star on Yelp, but you haven't given me a description.
So you're saying I've shut down the conversation.
Exactly. You've closed the door.
That is the key point the source makes. It says these words act like a stop sign. It was good. Okay. Conversation over. I guess I'll go look at my phone now.
All right.
So the mission for this deep dive is to break that habit. We are going to ban the binary.
Totally banned.
Totally. For the next hour, we are not allowed to use the words good or bad to describe anything. If you slip up, I am going to call you out on it.
Okay, that is high stakes. But I am in. This sounds fun.
And we aren't just doing this in the abstract. We're going to apply this anti-lazy method to a very specific case study. We are going to look at a movie that I think everyone knows, or at least known about. We are going to deep dive into the 2006 film The Pursuit of Happiness, starring Will Smith.
Oh, this is such a perfect choice for this experiment.
Why do you say that?
Because it's a movie that deals with these huge, complex emotions. It's so easy to just say, oh, it's a good movie, it's inspiring. But that doesn't tell us anything about why it works, or honestly, why it hurts so much to watch.
Exactly. We aren't going to do a movie review here. We're not giving it a score out of 10. We are going to try to analyze how it feels, what it shows us about the world, and why it stays in your head years after you see it.
And we have to do all of that without the forbidden words.
That's the challenge. We're going to look at the struggle, the persistence, and the precision of the filmmaking itself. It's going to be an honest conversation.
I'm looking forward to it.
So let's jump right into section 1, the anti-review. We really need to deconstruct why good and bad are such, well, failures. The source argues that these words hide the actual experience. I want to go back to your point about the burger. You said good is just a rating.
Right. Think of it like a courtroom. When you say something is good or bad, you're acting like the judge.
The judge?
You're sitting up high, banging a gavel and saying guilty or not guilty, thumbs up or thumbs down.
And the problem with being the judge is that you don't have to explain yourself. The verdict is the end of it.
Exactly. The judge just delivers the verdict. But the source suggests we need to stop being the judge and start being the witness.
The witness. Okay, I like that.
What does a witness do? A witness describes, I saw a red car. I heard a loud bang. I felt the ground shake. A witness provides evidence, not a verdict.
I love that distinction, moving from judge to witness. Because when you're a witness, you have to pay attention. You can't just zone out and say, it was fine. You have to engage your brain.
You do.
And the source gives us 3 pillars for this new way of describing things.
Yes. If we want to avoid the robotic sounds of movie good, me like, we need to use these 3 tools. Show thinking, show feeling, and show observation.
Let's break those down because they sound simple, but I think they are actually kind of hard to do in real time.
For sure.
So show thinking. What does that actually mean in practice?
Showing thinking means explaining the connections your brain is making. It's treating the person you're talking to like they're smart.
Hmm.
So instead of saying the movie was smart, which is a judgment.
Avert?
Yes, a verdict. You'd say something like, the way the director cut from the noisy, chaotic street to the absolute silence of the empty room,
Yeah.
that really emphasized the character's isolation. You're showing the because.
Okay, so it's showing your math, showing how you got to the answer. I get that. What about show feeling? This one seems scary for a lot of people. We don't like to be vulnerable.
It is scary. We hate it. We want to sound cool and objective and detached, but art isn't objective. Show feeling means you have to admit how the thing physically affected you. Did your stomach tighten up? Did you feel light and airy? Did you feel a flash of anger?
So instead of saying it was a sad movie, which is just a label,
Right.
you would say, there was a moment where my throat got really tight and I actually had to look away from the screen for a second.
Exactly. That is so much more vivid. That transfers the experience to me. I can feel that.
And the third one, show observation. This is just the facts, right? The details.
It is the facts, but it is the specific facts. It is the difference between saying he wore a suit and he wore a gray suit that was slightly too big in the shoulders and had a small, faint stain on the lapel.
The details create the reality. So if we combine all three, thinking, feeling, and observation, we get a description that actually has some weight to it.
A hook, a flow, and a closing. It becomes a little story in itself.
And that is why this method is, well, more rewarding. That's harder, yes. It requires you to be awake and paying attention.
But it makes you a better communicator. And honestly, it makes you a more interesting friend to have a conversation with.
Well, let's try to be interesting friends today. Let's move to section 2 and apply this to our movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. But following our new rule and the source's guidance, let's start by defining what this movie is not.
This is a really important piece of context, especially because of the lead actor, Will Smith. In 2006, when this movie came out, who was Will Smith?
He was King of Summer, he was Independence Day, he was Men in Black.
Bad Boys.
He was the guy who punched aliens in the face, cracked a joke, and looked incredibly cool doing it.
He was charisma personified. He was a superhero without the cape. So when you sat down to watch a Will Smith movie, you expected a certain level of, well, fantasy. You expected him to win, and you expected him to win with style.
But the source makes a very strict distinction here. It says, this movie is not about superheroes.
Yeah.
It is not about fantasy worlds.
It strips all of that away right from the beginning. There are no aliens. There are no secret agents. There are no massive explosions.
It is a normal man facing an abnormal amount of struggle. I really got stuck on that phrase, abnormal amount of struggle.
Yeah.
Because usually in a movie, you have one big problem. You have to stop the bomb or you have to get the girl. In this movie, the problems just keep piling up. It's like compound interest on bad luck.
It is relentless. The actual plot mechanics are pretty simple. A father trying to survive, raise his son, and build a future from almost nothing.
And the almost nothing is literal. He loses his wife, he loses his apartment, he loses his bank account.
All.
And he enters this internship program at a prestigious stock brokerage firm that pays $0.
Which, honestly, we should talk about that for a second. The audacity of a system that asks people, often people without a safety net, to work for free in a high-stress job.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It just creates this pressure cooker. And that leads to the key theme the source highlights, which I think is the most important one.
No miracles.
No miracles. This is the anti-Hollywood trope.
It really is. Think about a movie like Annie or any classic rags to riches story. Usually, right when things are at their absolute worst, something magical happens.
A rich benefactor just happens to walk by. A long-lost uncle dies and leaves a massive fortune.
A winning lottery ticket just blows into your hand on the wind.
The deus ex machina.
Yeah.
The hand of God coming down to fix the plot for the writers.
Exactly. But in the pursuit of happiness, the universe is completely, utterly silent. There is no magic coming to save Chris Gardner.
That's what makes it so terrifying to watch.
Yeah.
Because you keep waiting for the movie logic to kick in. You're sitting there thinking, okay, now's the part where he finds the briefcase of money.
Right. You're waiting for the lucky break.
And it just doesn't come.
And that grounds the story in a really uncomfortable, concrete reality. If he succeeds, it is only because of his own grit. If he fails, he and his son die on the street. That absence of miracles changes the way you watch it. You aren't watching a fantasy. You are watching a simulation of survival.
So we have established what it isn't. It is not a fantasy. Let's talk about what it is. Let's move to section 3. The aesthetic of honesty. This is all about how the movie looks and
It's
feels.
a visual language, yeah.
The source uses a phrase here that I think is brilliant. It says the movie does not decorate poverty to look beautiful.
Oh, this is a huge pet peeve of mine in cinema. We call it poverty porn.
Poverty porn. Explain that for the listeners who might not know the term.
It's when a movie shows people who are poor or struggling, but films them in a way that makes it look romantic or poetic.
How's it?
The lighting is always that beautiful, warm, golden hour sun. The clothes are ripped, but they're ripped in a cool, fashionable way. The dirt on their faces looks like perfectly applied makeup.
Right, like the struggling artist who lives in a massive, beautiful loft in New York that would actually cost $5,000 a month to rent.
Exactly. It makes struggle look noble and poetic. It lies to the audience. And The Pursuit of Happiness absolutely refuses to do that. It shows life as it is. The source uses descriptors like unpredictable, exhausting, and sometimes unfair.
The word exhausting is perfect. The movie looks tired. The lighting isn't golden. It's this harsh fluorescent office lighting or the gray, grainy light of a subway station at night.
And Will Smith, he doesn't look cool
Yeah.
at all. He looks gray, he looks sweaty, he's constantly running around San Francisco in this cheap suit, carrying that heavy medical machine.
The bone density scanner, we have to talk about that thing later. It's like his cross to bear.
It really is.
Yeah.
But just physically, you can see the toll this life is taking on him. That is the aesthetic of honesty. It doesn't try to make poverty look like an adventure. It makes it look like agonizing work.
And the source also mentions the sound, or I guess the lack of it, the absence of melodrama. It says the movie does not hide pain behind dramatic music.
This is what I call the sad violin rule. In a typical tearjerker, when something sad happens, the music swells. The cellos come in.
Right.
And the music is basically telling you, okay, audience, feel sad now? This is the sad part. Cry now.
It's manipulative. It's like a laugh track in a sitcom, but for crying.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right.
But in this movie, if you watch the scenes where he really hits rock bottom, often there is no music at all.
It's just the ambient sound.
It's just the sound of the bus engine or the sound of footsteps on the pavement
Yeah.
or just silence.
It trusts the audience. It assumes we're smart enough to feel the pain without being coached on how to feel.
And that silence makes the isolation feel so much worse. The source talks about social isolation as a major theme in the film.
The reaction of the world to the main character. People laugh at him. People doubt him. But the one that hurts the most is that people just ignore him.
Being ignored, that is a specific kind of violence, isn't it?
It is. It's the feeling of total invisibility.
When you're poor, especially in a wealthy city like San Francisco, you can become a ghost. You're walking down the street and people in nice suits look right through you.
They don't see a human being.
They see an obstacle. They see background noise.
There is a scene where he is trying to catch a cab or trying to talk to someone important, and they don't even break stride. They just breeze right past him, as if he's not even there.
And that connects to this deep, primal fear we all have. It's not just about not having money. It's about not mattering. It's about screaming in a crowded room and no one even turning around.
That is a specific type of nightmare. And it sets the stage for why his journey is so difficult. He isn't just fighting his bank account. He is fighting the indifference of the entire world.
I think you're right. The world doesn't hate him. The world just doesn't care if he survives. And that indifference is somehow colder than hate.
So we have the setting. We have this hostile, indifferent world. Now let's look at the man standing in the middle of it. Section 4. Character Deep Dive. We're talking about the father, Chris Gardner.
The role that earned Will Smith an Oscar nomination, and deservedly so.
The big question is, why does he keep going? In a superhero movie, they keep going because they have to save the city, or because they're the chosen one. Here, what is the motivation? What keeps him from just giving up?
The source is very specific about what the motivation is not.
Okay.
It is not because he feels confident, and it is not because he feels powerful. I think we have this myth about successful people. We think they have this internal engine of confidence that never, ever runs out.
Right, we have this image of him waking up every morning, looking in the mirror and saying, I am a tiger. I am going to crush it today.
But the reality the movie shows is the complete opposite. He continues because he has no other option.
No other option. That phrase just removes all the heroism and replaces it with raw necessity.
It's survival mode. It's the cornered animal instinct. If he stops, they don't eat. If he stops, they don't have shelter. It isn't about ambition at that point. It is about biology. It is about keeping his son alive.
The source also emphasizes that he is flawed. It says he is not perfect, He makes mistakes.
He makes huge mistakes. He invests his entire life savings in those bone density scanners.
Let's talk about the scanners for a second. They're these heavy beige plastic boxes that look like typewriters from the 1970s, and he has to carry them everywhere he goes.
They're the physical manifestation of a bad decision. They are the sunk cost fallacy that he has to literally lug around on the bus with him every day.
And he gets angry. He snaps at his kids sometimes. He loses his temper.
He's not a saint.
No. The source says he feels scared and lost. And seeing a father figure admit, even if it's just through his eyes, that he is scared, that hits hard.
It deepens the connection. If he were a perfect stoic statue of a man, we wouldn't care as much. But because we see the fear, we see ourselves in him. We have all been scared. Maybe not homeless scared, but I don't know if this is going to work out scared.
But there was one thing that holds him together through it all. The source calls it the one thing that never disappears.
His responsibility toward his son.
The source lists the specific struggles. Nowhere to sleep, no money. But through all of that, the core action is protecting the child from hopelessness.
That is such a crucial distinction. He isn't just protecting the child from hunger or from the cold. He is protecting the child's mind.
What do you mean by that?
He is protecting the child's innocence. He knows how bad things are. He knows they are on the absolute edge of a cliff, but he cannot let his son know that. He has to maintain the illusion of stability for him.
The source calls this quiet strength.
Quiet strength. It's not loud. It isn't shouting or punching things. It is the strength it takes to smile at your kid when you want to scream. It is the strength to play a game with him when you are absolutely terrified about where you're going to sleep that night.
That leads us perfectly into section 5. Because there is one specific scene that captures this quiet strength better than anything else in the entire film. The anatomy of a scene. The public restroom.
This is the emotional anchor of the entire film. If you ask anyone who has seen The Pursuit of Happiness what they remember, this is the scene they talk about.
So let's set the scene for the listener using our descriptive tools. Pillar 3. Observation. What is physically happening on screen?
They've been kicked out of their motel. They have nowhere to go. They end up in a BART station. That's the subway system in San Francisco. It's late at night. It's cold. The lighting is this sickly green and yellow.
And the son, who's just a little boy, is falling asleep standing up. He's exhausted.
So Chris Gardner realizes he has to find a place, any place, to lay his son down. And the only place with a lock is the men's public restroom.
Just pause on that image for a second. A public restroom in a subway station. Think about the smell. Think about the floor. It is the lowest place you can possibly go.
He takes his son inside, he locks the door, he lays down toilet paper on the floor to make a sort of bed, and then he sits with his back against the door, holding his son.
The source describes the scene. No screaming, no dramatic speech, just silence.
Just silence. The source says that silence says everything.
Why is the silence so effective here? Why not have him give a big dramatic monologue about how the system has failed him?
Because there are no words left. He is beyond words. The silence forces us, the audience, to focus on the sounds of the room, the dripping water from a faucet, the sound of their breathing, the low hum of the fluorescent lights. It traps us in there with him.
And then the tension breaks. Or I should say, it gets much, much worse. Someone tries to get in.
Someone starts banging on the door. It's probably a security guard or maybe another homeless person. We don't know. But they are banging loud.
And this is the moment. Will Smith puts his foot against the door to jam it shut. He covers his son's ears with his hand so he won't wake up. And he starts to cry.
But he cries silently. He is sobbing. His face is completely contorted in agony. But he's making zero noise. Because if he makes a noise, his son wakes up and sees where they are, and the illusion is broken.
It represents the fragility of life, doesn't it? The source calls it the thin line between having a normal life and losing everything.
That is what is so terrifying about it. It shows how quickly the floor can just drop out from under you. One day you have a job in an apartment, a few months of bad luck, and you are holding a public bathroom door shut with your foot.
It really emphasizes the point that scenes with very few words can hit hard. We don't need the character to tell us he's sad. We see the foot on the door, and we understand everything.
It is pure observation. It is a primal image. It's the caveman locking the entrance to the cave to protect the young. It bypasses your intellect, and it goes straight to your heart.
It really does.
Yeah.
I get chills just talking about it. But, and this is important, the movie doesn't leave us on the bathroom floor. It isn't just a misery fest. It is about getting up from that floor. That brings us to section 6, the philosophy of belief and failure.
This is where we pivot from the raw emotion to the mindset, the software that is running in his head that allows him to endure this.
The movie has a simple but powerful lesson that the source identifies. Your current situation is not your final destination.
Let's unpack that. It sounds a little bit like a bumper sticker, but when you are literally on the floor of a public bathroom, it is a lifeline. It is the ability to dissociate your identity from your location. I am in a bathroom, but I am not a bum. I am broke, but I am not poor.
It's all about perspective. But getting from the bathroom to the boardroom requires effort, a massive amount of effort. And the source gives us a hard truth about that.
Effort does not always bring instant results.
This is a tough pill to swallow. We live in the era of Amazon Prime. We click a button, we get a package the next day. We post a photo, we get likes instantly. We want the feedback loop to be immediate.
And this movie is a reminder that real, meaningful change is slow. Painfully slow.
Patience can be painful. I really like that phrasing. Usually people say patience is a virtue.
Right.
And that sounds so nice. It sounds polite. Like you are sitting calmly in a waiting room reading a magazine.
But real patience, waiting for a check to clear so you can eat, or waiting for a callback on a job, that is physical pain. It hurts. It is anxiety. It is suffering. And you have to endure that pain without knowing when or if it will ever end.
And this leads to the deep dive highlight. This is the concept in the source material that really made me stop and think. It says, belief is not a feeling, it is a decision.
This is the core philosophical argument of the piece. Belief is not a feeling, it is a decision.
I want to push back on this a little bit because I think it's counterintuitive. We usually describe belief as a feeling. I feel it in my gut. I feel hopeful. If I don't feel like I can succeed, how can I say that I believe in it?
That is exactly the trap. Feelings are biological. They are chemical reactions. They are like the weather.
Well, weather.
Yeah. You wake up on Tuesday and the sun is shining and you had a good cup of coffee, so you feel belief, you feel confident, you feel motivated. But then Thursday comes, it's raining outside, you got a parking ticket, you're tired. Suddenly that feeling is gone.
So if you rely on the feeling, you only work on Tuesday. You quit on Thursday.
Precisely. If belief is an emotion, it is volatile. You can't control it. But a decision is a matter of logic. A decision is a contract you sign with yourself. You say, I am going to become a stockbroker. It doesn't matter if you feel scared today. It doesn't matter if you feel tired tomorrow. The decision stands independent of the emotion.
So it's about dissociating the action from the mood.
It is about acting as if you believe, even when your stomach is in knots. Chris Gardner in the movie, he is terrified. He is miserable. If he waited until he felt confident enough to pick up the phone and make a cold call to a client, he would never make a single call.
He acts in spite of his feelings.
Exactly. He makes the decision, and then he forces his feelings to catch up later.
That completely changes the view of failure.
It does. If belief is a decision you make, then failure isn't a signal to stop. It isn't a sign from the universe saying you aren't good enough for this.
It stops looking like a wall and starts looking like...
It looks like data. It looks like a stepping stone. It's just, okay, that didn't work. Let's try the next thing. It makes failure a neutral event instead of a personal indictment.
That is a huge mental shift. I think most of us take failure very personally. I failed, therefore I am a failure. This mindset says, I failed, therefore I learned something.
And that is why the movie is so effective. It teaches this philosophy not by preaching it, but by showing a man living it. He gets knocked down over and over, and he stands back up. Not because he's happy to do it, but because he decided to.
Which brings us to our last section, Section 7, Personal Takeaways and Application. We are bringing this back to the viewer, to you, the listener. Why does this movie matter beyond just being a story?
The source narrator explains why they love this movie. And notice, they strictly use the descriptive method we've been talking about. They do not say, I love it because it is a good movie.
No, they say it is not because it is entertaining. And frankly, it isn't entertaining in the popcorn and soda sense.
Yeah.
Watching a man and his son sleep in a bathroom isn't fun.
No, it's an ordeal to watch. But the narrator loves it because it is a reminder. It acts like a tuning fork for your own life. It reminds us of 3 specific things.
Let's list them. 1, keep moving when you're feeling stuck.
Momentum. It's just basic physics. An object in motion stays in motion. Even a small step is better than standing still.
2, stay disciplined when motivation disappears.
And again, that goes right back to the belief is a decision idea. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a practice. You don't have to feel motivated to be disciplined.
And 3, respect the power of consistency.
Consistency. It is the most boring word in the English language. It isn't sexy. It isn't flashy, but it is the secret sauce to everything. It is just showing up every single day and hitting the rock with the hammer until it finally breaks.
The source describes the feeling the movie evokes as a quiet push. I love that imagery. It's not a shove. It's not a drill sergeant screaming in your face to get up. It's a quiet push.
It's internal. It's not excitement. It's not hype. Hype is loud and external. This feeling is determination. And that is a very different kind of fuel. Hype burns hot and fast like gasoline. Determination burns slow and long like coal.
And finally, the source talks about defining success. It says success, as shown in this film, is not about luck.
It is about showing up again and again, even on the days when you feel invisible, even on the days when nothing works, even when you're carrying that stupid scanner and running for the bus and you get the door slammed in your face.
The source reflects on the mindset. It says that is the true value of the film. It isn't the cinematography, though, that is honest. It isn't the acting, though, that is superb. It is the mindset that it transfers to you.
It's like a software update for your brain. You watch the movie and you download this program of resilience. You walk away from it and you realize, if he can do that with nothing facing that level of indifference, I can handle my problems.
So we've gone through the whole film. We have stripped away the lazy language. We have looked at the aesthetic of honesty, the character survival instinct, the anatomy of that bathroom scene, and the philosophy of decision-based belief. Now, let's wrap this up in the outro.
We have completed the mission. We talked for an hour about a movie, covered its plot, its emotional impact, and its philosophy without ever using the words good or bad.
And honestly, it felt different. It felt like we actually got somewhere meaningful.
It felt substantial. When you remove the shortcuts, you're forced to take the scenic route, and you end up with so much more along the way.
That is the power of this method. It forces you to understand why you like something. When you have to articulate the why, you deepen your own connection to it. You move from being a passive consumer to being a critic, in the best sense of that word.
You become a witness.
So here's the final call to action for you listening right now. We want to challenge you. The next time you watch a movie or read a book or eat a great meal, catch yourself
Catch yourself right before you say it was good. Just stop, take a breath.
and ask yourself, can you describe it without that word? Can you describe how it made you feel? Can you describe an observation, a specific detail? Can you show your thinking?
Try to use the 3 pillars. It's a great exercise and makes you a better communicator, and maybe, just maybe, it helps you see your favorite things in a whole new light.
And as the source says, subscribe to the mindset of keep learning, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep moving forward.
That is the perfect note to end on. Success isn't about the final destination, but about the decision to keep moving forward, especially when the world is silent.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Thank you. This was great.
See you next time.